I wanted to start with a quote that actually has been with me for years and years, and it's taking on new meaning as I keep coming back to it. And I think you pronounce his name Tagore. Um, the butterfly counts not the months, but the moments, and has time enough. For some reason, I found this beautiful poster, which I no longer have, and I used to keep it up in my classroom when I was teaching the little ones, and carried it with me from mission to mission for a long time. And then somewhere along the line, I've let it go. So, but it continues, and especially when I think of being present to the moment. I worked at St. Louis University Hospital, which is kind of our inner city hospital here in St. Louis, as a chaplain after I was with the novitiate. And what I started realizing, especially in the emergency room, was we don't know what we have. I don't know if I have 10 minutes from here. None of us knows what we have. And many a time, I would go down to take care. We used to call the families and bring them in if there was accidents or at SLUs, shootings or that type thing, and bring the family in and be with them. And what I realized early on was I'd cover the 6:30 shift in the morning, and people would come in on their way to work and have a horrendous accident and not make it. And we'd bring the family in, and it was like people would say to me, we argued last night. I didn't get a chance to say I'm sorry, or we didn't work it out. And so that started just really hitting me to the fact that, we don't know. And even in my work in McGovern, it's a long-term skilled. And even the memory center, I love working in the memory center with people. You just go with them. And, but none of us knows. And Gail and Linda know this, that over the last couple months, we've had many, many deaths, not only just of our sisters, but of the lay people that I also work with over there. And so I was talking to one the other day, and he said, I'm here because this will be the last place I live. And I thought, oh my gosh, he's got it together. He has died. He came in on hospice and he died. But what he told me was, I have no regrets. I love the life I've had, and I want to continue, as long as I can. Now, his family had a harder time, obviously, but it amazed me in our world today that somebody was so put together, knowing he was dying and gonna die. And he loved it. He loved life and wasn't fearful. So the words of that quote remind me to slow down, to appreciate the small joys, and to savor the magic of the present. Because I think a lot of it is magical. The butterfly's perception of time isn't bound by our calendars, our deadlines. It's rooted in deep appreciation of the now. And so I thought, the gentle wings that they have, and they don't live long, but they make the most of what they have. I've learned to see the world most days as wonder. We live in a crazy world right now, and we have to continue to pray. And I was talking to my sister this past week, and she said, I don't watch the news. I don't even watch the local news. And I know when I worked at the hospital, I didn't watch the local news because I knew what was happening already when I came home. So I haven't given up the news yet, but I should. And I don't read the newspaper, so that's a good, because all that does is distress us. The interconnectedness with everything that we see is so important. And I thought, it's so easy to live in the past. How many of you ever have times when you live in the past and you think, oh, only if, and I thought, But there's times we need to live in the past to learn from the past to take to the, and one of my big things is always if you make a mistake, the only mistake really is if you don't learn from it.
Mhm.
If we continue to learn from what we do, then it's gift. And so we get that self-discovery of who we are and keep moving on. Now, I'm making this sound like I do this all the time. I don't. That's why I said this is great to be able to pull it into my mind again. The secret of health for both mind, body, and spirit is not to mourn the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles. Now, Jody, you've got a heavy one coming ahead of you. And, it's through that prayer and stuff that we can take moment by moment. We're all there with you in terms of what do we do? And I'm going to talk to our CEO because I was just in Kansas City for a board meeting at St. Teresa's Academy, and they've got a plan. So I brought the plan back, and I learned that if it's an ICE warrant, you don't have to let them in. If it's judicial, guess what? That's a different story. So there's so many little pieces that you've learned that you can now carry with you into the retreat. So that's wonderful. Choosing to live the past or the future robs us of the enjoyment of today. Living the present moment means actively focusing on your current experiences and sensations rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. It's about being fully aware and engaged in what's happening right now. How many of you find that easy to do? I find it hard to do. It takes work. And that's what I started realizing when I was doing this is, it's so easy to get caught up. When I go to work tomorrow morning and walk in, I never know what I'm going to meet or who I'm going to meet. And so it's like trying to be present to the person and not worrying about what I can get done or not get done. For some reason, there's three of us that are chaplains. And I've retired 3 times and I'm back again. And so I look at how many people haven't been seen yet that have entered our long-term care, our rehab center. And I think, oh my gosh, there's no way. And then you go in and have some of the best visits with people, and I don't get it done. And Angie, who's our manager, says, you can't get everything done, And I said, but you're telling a sister not to get things finished. You're kidding me. I don't know if Gail and Linda do that, but it's like, oh, what's a little more? So the thing is to keep present with living the present moment. It's hard to do, and we keep practicing it. I'm not sure we ever get there. Key points about living in the present. Intentionally observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, paying close attention to your surroundings and bodily sensations. I was thinking of this. I was on last month when Lisa was doing intentionality. And so I thought, we do need to have some intentions. I'm not sure I agree that they always come true, like she said, but at least mine don't. But it's a nice thought. But we need intentions to set us in the right direction. We don't dwell on past mistakes. I said that, it's not a mistake unless we don't learn. God knows I've made my mistakes and everything and continue to learn from them. And I guess we do that till the day we die. Actively notice details around us, like the smell of coffee, the sound of the birds. It's been beautiful here. And so to hear the birds again is really nice. They sit on the windowsill outside my bedroom. And then I did realize that what they did last summer was they also poked holes in the screen. I thought, isn't this great? I keep hearing all the birds. And one day I looked and I thought, what is that on the screen? And I looked and there's these little holes. I guess they wanted in. But it's like the both and the good and the not bad, but it'll get fixed and I won't let the mosquitoes in that way. So actively, we need to notice things around us. Take in, like, even things now, like take in a deep breath. What's that feel like for you? Sometimes that's what we need just to settle ourselves and to move on from there. Pay close attention to what you're doing. If you're eating something, think about it. How does it taste? What's it texture like? Is there a smell to it? So often I shouldn't say I just eat real fast and my mind's going somewhere else at the same time. Somebody else is at the table talking to me and I'm hearing half of it because I'm also hearing what's going on at the table behind me. So it's like, how do we pull ourselves? So tonight when I went down for dinner, I thought, okay, be set at the table. It was still hard to do, even though my intention was to pay attention to what's being said at our table instead of all the tables around. So notice your surroundings. One way to be present in the moment is to notice your surroundings. So just for a minute, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And then look around you. How do the walls look? What about the floor or the ceiling? Are there patterns on them? How many windows are there to your right or to your left? How many lights can you see and count? The main thing with this is to stop and look at your surroundings. Take in everything around you. Then it's much more easy to be in the present moment. So it's taking those big breaths, Jody, which is wonderful. Focus on one thing at a time. How many of you can do that? No. When learning how to live in the moment, it helps to focus your attention on one thing at a time. While it might feel more productive to multitask and work on more than one thing at a time, constant juggling, multitasking makes it hard to be in the present. For sure. I'll start a project and then I think, oh, I should have done, and I'll get up and water the plant. And then so I'm not sure if any of you do that, but it's hard to keep the single-minded. Yeah. I think it's human nature and we live in such a rushed pace. There's always one more thing to do. One of the chaplains at the hospital was a Jesuit priest, and we called him One More Thing because he'd come running in for our staff meetings at the last minute. And it's like, we know you had one more thing to do. And so, we could laugh about it and he'd say, that's true. I did it again. And he really worked on not doing that, but it's a hard thing. They say what we need to learn to work on is when I'm doing something, keep it simple, keep it in front of me and pay attention to the one thing. Sometimes what helps me is if something else keeps coming in there, I'll jot it down on a piece of paper and then I can let it go. So that's one help that I use sometimes. Okay. So part of it is, it says, be grateful for what you have now. Part of living in the now is taking the time to be grateful for what you have right now. And some of you said that the ability to be together in a group tonight. That's wonderful. So it's like, how do we do that? One way to practice is to write down. When I was doing counseling and somebody was real depressed, I'd make them write down 3 things they were grateful for every night, even if it was the same thing. They had to write it down three times. So I think if we can focus our minds enough to do that, if we can show acceptance, if you want to learn how to be more present, let go of how you think things should be and accept the way they are. That's a hard thing too. You cannot control everything that happens around you. Sometimes life is going to be different than you had wanted it to be. I think many people can attest to that today. You know, life is not what we want. We need to kind of shield ourselves from a lot of what's going on government wise and all the rest of that. So that's not what we want. So it's like being open to how things are. I'm not saying accepting, but being open. Be mindful of everything you do. Whatever you're doing, from eating, scrolling on your phone, be mindful of it. How many people often ask, during lunch or dinner, how many sit and turn the TV on and eat? I do. If I'm in the apartment by myself, it's like, instead of paying attention to the food I'm eating and the quiet time and everything, it's easy to compound that with noise. For me, it's noise. And that's when I was saying before, how does the food smell? Will I cook that meal again? Will I not? How does it taste? How's my body reacting to what I ate? What sounds, that's the piece for me, is what sounds am I hearing? Like, what sounds are you hearing right now? Like, I can hear the traffic coming in and out of the complex. Yeah, so what sounds? That pulls us into the moment and perceiving what we're hearing. They're not bad sounds. Again, deep breathing. Use this technique just to, how does it feel? Is it cool air? Are you breathing out real fast or breathing in real fast? Pay attention to that. Take slow, regular breaths. One way that I used to, if you're feeling anxious, breathe in on a count of 4, hold it for 7, and then breathe out 8. And it gets you into a rhythm where you can cut some of the anxiety that's going on, or for some people, the fear. So it's working with, how do you do that? One of the things I wrote down was take a break from social media and technology. And I put that in because working over in McGovern, which is the name of the building I spend most of my time in, I'm so aware of the phones. Some of our CNAs and aides and everybody else, I swear it's an attachment to the body. And so when they could be doing something else, they've got their phones, which drives me crazy. And I kept thinking, what's so important? And maybe you can all help me on social media, that I have to know about it all the time. I don't know if any of you are phone junkies or what. I don't know, but I know some of the people that we have working with us. The lady giving out pills has her phone at the medicine cart, and she's texting away, and it's like, oh, what you doing? And one night I went in and one of the residents, I'm not capable, well, legally, I cannot lift somebody or do anything like that in the home. So one of the ladies was starting to slide out of bed. So I went to this one sitting in the hall on her phone. And I said, I know you're really busy on the phone, but the lady in 2113 is going to be on the floor in a few minutes. And then you're going to be really busy because you're going to have to write up all the paperwork for the state. And she kind of looked at me, and I think just because I started with, I see you're busy on the phone, she got up and came with me, and then she got the lady back in bed. But so often the young people, their present mind is on the technology. Yeah, it's a hard piece because, and the important piece is when I'm on my phone, I need to consciously be there and in the moment. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's not, again, doing multitasking with something else. And so it's trying to be present. I even found when I was in leadership, this was bad. That's when I was at my worst with the telephone because we'd be in a meeting and I'd check my phone to see if anybody called. I felt wedded to my phone and I answered every call, whether I knew who it was or not. Now I have the freedom. If I don't know who it is, I don't answer. And I figure if they leave a message, I'm okay. So yeah, so phones are important. They really are. And they can be in the moment. Talking to somebody, a family member, that kind of thing. That's real important to stay connected. So if you want to learn to live in the moment, take time to appreciate where you are, what you're doing, and who is with you. Try to savor each moment as it passes. Focus thoughts and attention on the person when you're talking to them. Depending on our psychology and makeup, sometimes I'm thinking of what's my response going to be instead of really hearing what the person's saying, or it just depends. We're all different with that. So it's really learning to be really present and curious about what the person's saying so that you can say, I never thought of it that way. I'll have to think about that and move with that rather than coming back with some response and being aware of what you're talking about. So I want to tie it to, because it's Lent, to prayer. Because being present in the day-to-day moments is just what it is. It's free flowing and everything. When we come to prayer, being present it's a structured time. It's time to just kind of turn everything else off if you can, and be present to that. So it takes time to integrate what that is. It helps us, if I can find the right place. Prayer encourages a pause to intentionally focus on the presence of God in the present moment, allowing a deeper level of communion and a more authentic expression of your spiritual life. So when I come to prayer, how do I come to prayer? Do I come openly? Intentionally, I think, is the important word there. Sometimes it's hard to do because it's depending on the time. People say it's much better to pray in the morning when they first get up. That is true for some people. For some of us who aren't morning people, it's not such a good thing. It's like, nah, I can fall asleep again. And I used to say, at least I knew I was at peace with the spirit because I'd fall asleep gracefully. But that's not true. But I'm much better later in the day. The hazard of that is we bring the day with us. So there's nothing wrong with reflecting on the day. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect. Where did you feel God in your life today? Where were some missed opportunities that we might have grabbed onto? Are you aware of God working in you as you meet somebody? Have you ever said something to somebody and thought, where did that come from? My belief is it's the Holy Spirit guiding us and giving us the words to say. Offering simple prayers throughout the day. And somebody said to me, well, yeah, that's nice. Sometimes I say, oh, God, help me. I said, that's pretty simple. That's okay. You're asking for God to be present with you at that moment. And I think that's nothing wrong with that. Many times when before I go in to see one of the residents or do something with somebody who's really struggling, I do some counseling here in the village too, pro bono. And before the person comes to see me, I say a prayer that I have open ears, open heart, open mind to hear what they're saying. So even as you meet and you meet the people that you work with or you're helping, just a little quiet prayer sometimes pulls us into that moment and says, okay, God, be with me in this. I just think that's important. Now, this is what I put because of Lisa's talk last month. I keep thinking about it. Intentionality for the day. Focus prayers. So our intentions, a couple of them, and maybe you can help me with some other ones too, is Creator God, I trust you to lead me one moment at a time today. So my intention is to open up to God so that each moment I can take that next step and be, in ministry with God. Lord, that your presence brings significance to the small moments of my day. Sometimes we think of the small moments when we just kind of walk past and say hi to somebody and smile at them is a big thing. Those are small moments, but they're meaningful moments because I believe the God in you is showing the God in me who we are. And so it's that sharing of each other. Show me, Lord, what you are already doing today that I might align my ways with yours. So God, give me some guidance in, my not just doing it my way. When I go in and I know that there's like 13 new people have come to the residence for rehab or something, there's no way I can see 13 unless I do the drive-by type of thing. But a lot of times what happens is I'll get into one or two and they're long and just really profound listening sessions for me and learning sessions. And it's like God's saying, this is where I want you today. I don't want you to do all 13 visits. They don't all need it, first of all. And somebody else can do it. So I think God leads us. So it's like my intention is to follow whatever that is, even though many times it's not till nighttime when I reflect on it that I'm aware of what it is. Open my eyes to attitudes that grieve you today. If my attitude is you should have done it this way, then I need to let that go. Let me hear your voice, see you in others, and above all, live today in the moment. Those are just some of the intentions that I was thinking of as I was thinking about this talk tonight. Well, the last, I had a quote, and then I just want to tell you about one reading that I go to often. This is from Colossians. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God through him. So that's Colossians. On retreat this past summer, the retreat director gave me this reading, and it's from Edwina Gately. And the name of it is Let Your God Love You. So it's one straight down thing, and it's just be silent, be still, alone, empty before your God. Say nothing, ask nothing. Be silent, be still. Let your God look upon you. That is all. God knows, God understands, God loves you with an enormous love and only wants to look upon you with that love. Quiet, still, be, let God love you. Amen.